Hey guys, welcome back to another Skyrim mods video. Today we're strictly focusing on new mods that I found. Some are popular and some are kind of underrated. If you end up liking this video, hit that like button down below and let's dive right in. And also don't forget to endorse mod authors. The first mod up today is called Animation Interactions SKSE. This mod, by using Script Extender, allows for you to see your character pick up items or even harvest them. But this mod isn't like the other ones that also let you interact with items and pick them up, because those needed patches or it just used the vanilla textures and meshes and it didn't quite add up. But this mod renders the items in game as you pick them up, so it will work with whatever texture or remesh you currently have in your game. This mod is fairly new though, and its scope is kind of huge, so it's not going to be perfect right out the box, but for now it is already amazing. Mainly the fact that it has quick and immersive animations that don't take up too much of my time trying to loot them. And because it renders the textures and meshes as soon as you pick up the item, sometimes it might pick up the entire mesh, which makes it look a lot bigger than what is actually there, especially for harvestable plants. But honestly, there's been a few updates since I first tested this mod, so after me recording this, I wouldn't be surprised if that's already been fixed. But otherwise, this mod works perfectly fine. And because it uses Script Extender, it won't be available on console. Next up is a mod everyone has been waiting for but didn't know they needed. This mod is called HDT-SMP Vanilla Armors, and this mod is an ESL. A few years ago we had already gotten an HDT patch for vanilla clothing. Not many people used it because there's too many NPCs with clothing on, but now we have a patch for all the vanilla armors that have cloths on them. So before all your bandits start using a bunch of iron or steel armor, you'll see mainly them wearing leather armor and also fur, so you'll get to see a lot of this mod in effect. I will say though, sometimes the HDT does turn off for the NPCs, then it turns back on randomly, but that's probably just my configuration being messed up. These new effects work on all NPCs ranging from heavy armor to light armor, even bone meal armor NPCs in the Dragonborn DLC. And the great part about this is that Zapbio Retextures is already making updates and patches for this mod, so you can have the best of both worlds. This is definitely a convincing argument to use vanilla armors again. This next one is a small creature mod, but I also wanted to show off my Morthal a little bit because we all know about Mudcrabs. But this next mod kind of corrupts them a little bit. This mod is called Rotten Mudcrabs, and this one is an ESL as well, but also about Mihail. This mod is a new variant of Mudcrabs in swamp areas of Skyrim, and it adds about 3 new variants, each one having different sizes and different limbs missing. Crabs usually regrow limbs, but I assume that because these are actually rotten and because they're dead, they can't regrow them, which makes sense considering the lore says that they were reanimated by swamp hags purely for fun. And just because of that, I highly recommend downloading Mihail's swamp hags just for immersion reasons if you decide to keep this mod. But you might want to be a little careful because they have dangerously low damage, but they can also infect you with a disease that will hurt you during combat until you end up curing it. But you also can loot these, but instead of it giving you curing meat, it's now rotten and it will damage your health rather than having healing effects if it was alive. I usually lean more towards the animal mods from Mihail rather than the monster ones, and I feel like this one fits that description, so I'll be keeping it. Next up, a small but massive rework for the Mace of Molag ball. Firstly, of course, it redoes the effects of the mace, making it very overpowered but fun to use. Like firstly adding magic trails to it, and also new effects that damage magicka and stamina, as well as suppressing any healing effect to the enemy. And if you kill them, it also restores your health. So pretty overpowered, but it also went further and added new custom skills to the mace that appear in your magic menu as shouts or powers if you will, but you can only use them once you have the mace equipped, otherwise the new spells will disappear. Some of the skills do require the other skills to make it work, but overall if you learn how to use this mace, it will be a great asset during combat. And mainly because it's a little overpowered. And of course the best skill of all is the last one. It kind of stuns enemies while adding a force field around your character, and it also slows them tremendously and gives them fear effect. So not only will they not attack you, now they'll also run away, giving you free attack. This next mod is an audio mod, and because it is an audio mod, I would prefer to let you listen than talk over it. But this mod replaces the swimming audio and also underwater audio. This mod is called Underwater Loop and Swimming Sounds by Clovis. Like I said, I wasn't going to do much talking because it was an audio mod. But up next, an even simpler mod. We have the Floating Islands of Whiterun, which is an ESP. You can ESL it, but for now it's an ESP. This mod will add tons of small and big floating islands above the tundra of Whiterun, which just happens to look a lot better if you have a green Whiterun. It might look a little weird if you still have a dead tundra. But I mean, to each their own. This mod does fit Whiterun no matter what. This mod increases the fantasy theme of Skyrim, adding these small magical islands with some having bridges connecting them or just some floating off on their own. I've always been a fan of floating islands, that's why I use Yggdrasil for the floating gilded green. But this mod adds so many more that already have lots when you install it, so you don't have to do more on your end. But this mod is more of an overhaul rather than an add-on, but this mod is called Occult, Witchmist Grove, which is an ESL. Overhauling that one hut that's in the middle of a forest that I remember seeing on a YouTube video where someone married the Hag Raven. I'm still not entirely sure how he did that, but I'm pretty sure someone remembers that video like me. But this mod massively overhauls the area, changing it from just a hut to a massive witch memorial ground, adding tons of clutter and a giant dead creepy looking tree with a lot of dead animals, and of course because it's Hag Ravens, they have a lot of skeever guardians. And this mod also includes a patch collection, which is pretty much necessary. And because of course I have to showcase this mod because we've been looking for something like this, we have JK's Raven Rock, which is also an ESL and also comes with its own patch collection. And this mod, in typical JK Skyrim fashion, massively overhauls Raven Rock, adding plenty of new buildings and tons of new NPCs to fill out said buildings, and also tons of new clutter to interact with as you walk through the city now. That, in my opinion, has been given new life. There are a few Raven Rock overhauls already, but those have long since been abandoned or just not updated anymore, but the mod author still does reply and say not their mod's fault, or just some are just small in scope. This overhaul takes it to a whole new level with how massively it changes things up. There's even new gates added to both the north exit and south exit of Raven Rock with guards positioned outside of them. You can easily tell the difference from vanilla to the overhauled version of Raven Rock, but I figured I'd still do it before and after just so you can see and be as surprised as I was when I first downloaded this. And this might be obvious, but Raven Rock, even in vanilla with just a few retextures, can already be a bit taxing on your FPS if you have a lower end, so adding this on top and of course having EMB will definitely hurt you a bit. But other than that, I see no reason not to use this overhaul or just overhaul your Raven Rock period. And because this is a JK mod, the mod itself probably won't be updated pretty often, but the patch collection will, so this will probably become the go-to for quite a while for a lot of people. At least until Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, then updates might stop for a bit, but Skyrim always has a good modding community. I do sometimes hope that Elder Scrolls 6 is bad, so the modding community has to fix it, but you know, it's Bethesda. Up next, not so much a massive overhaul, but just a simple new outfit for your game. This mod is called Roman Girl's Attire, adding in a female-only light armor that, based on the description, is meant to mimic the look of a fearless girl roaming the new world. Coming with support for 3VA, which is the base, and it is already provided with the mod when you first install it, so you don't have to build your body and your character won't be invisible. But if you don't use 3VA and you just want CBBE, a patch is available in the optional files. To obtain this armor though, all you have to do is just craft it at a forge. There's really no special requirements. And there's only a few pieces needed for the full set, so even if you don't cheat, you should be getting this pretty fast and simply. This next one is a little more complicated. This mod is called the Iron Rose Armor, which is also ESL, but this armor is very modular, coming with about 9 pieces of armor per set, and it is also unisex, featuring different colors, about 3 armor variants for you to choose from, all carrying the same stats. It's just cosmetic, so about 27 armor pieces for you to craft if you want to try every set and see which one you might like the best. At base, the armor is 4K textures, but you can download the 2K version in the optional files, as well as the complex material version if you use that. I would have used that in this video, but I don't use that at all. This mod, even though it says race menu high heels height fixes is required, I'm not currently using it in this video. You just won't have the correct height or the heel sound, so if that bothers you, then you might want to download that. But this armor does support UBE, which I'm using right now for those wondering, since that one is still kind of underrated. But the only body type not supported in a base mod is B-Helm, surprisingly. To get this armor though, you have to find the crafting manual first, which can be found in Streakwind Bastion inside of Falkreath Hold. by the word wall, and then you can craft it at any forge once you have the requirements. And that was pretty much it for today, guys. Let me know what you thought about this selection of Skyrim mods, and if you enjoyed one or found one that you didn't know about. But as of right now, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Make sure to endorse mod authors, and peace and love.